Hello guys, this is the first part from the guide I'm gonna be making. If you like it enough, I will make the second part as well. So, this guide is for advanced Ahri players that know how the game goes a little bit more. In the patch 12.10, the electrocute Ahri will become dead because there will be no point going for the explosive assassinating damage since it is getting nerfed in patch 12.10. If you're struggling to assassinate now with Ahri, you better don't try doing so in the new patch. I'm Ahri a legend. I think I have good analytical skills as to be making this guide, and I would like to share you my perspective and pinpoint you how Ahri will be played the best in an optimal way in 12.10. To counter the fact that explosive damage will be nerfed, an important nerf to the Assassin Ahri, all that remains is playing Ahri as a mage. Ahri becomes more team dependent in order to make skill misplays or catching people off guard to win games. That doesn't mean Ahri becomes weak because her mage side is actually quite potent if you know how to abuse it. And now I would like to actually explain you the runes from that. So here we go, the first one. Why I think Electrocute is weak is because um, it in the patch 12.10 the Electrocute will become even more detrimental than nowadays because of the lacking damage to one-shot squeezes. And its cooldown is 20 seconds in late game, which is quite high. In order to teamfight properly, like you will proc it one time in a teamfight and that will be it. So it's not very useful for teamfights. Then we go for Ahri Ahri. Ahri Ahri also becomes weaker in 12.10 because it is a rune that is used to be poking early your lane opponents. It doesn't scale well for late game, and the poking as Ahri becomes and the poking in itself will become nerf in lane because of the increase in defenses for all champs, making this rune weaker. Like it will become harder um, to actually abuse it because of them having more defenses. Then we go for the Comet rune. It is a more interesting rune in 12.10 because it scales well into late game and the cooldown from it becomes lower, and that's a good sign that it will become an interesting rune for the patch. This rune can be good in teamfights because you can proc it many times, not just one time like Electrocute, and it will deal the same damage as Electrocute. The negative side from it is that it is unreliable to hit, especially after using your charm or the enemy moving too quickly. This rune can be interesting because it offers sustained damage, which empowers the mage side from Ahri. I mean, I approve it for the 12.10. However, I would like to actually introduce you to a new rune for Ahri that nobody but me is actually playing it, or from what I've seen so far. It is not a Korean build, it is a rune page that I invented myself, that I think it secretly will become meta in patch 12.10. I'm gonna show you the rune page and I'm gonna explain you why I think it will become meta. the Ferrari, I called it like that. And surprisingly enough, it's the Fesrusari rune page. I think it's actually very invisible right now, but it will become. I mean, it can be played right now, even earlier, but in 12.10 it will become even better. And I'm gonna try to explain you why. Why I think Fesrus is strong on Ahri. I think so because it is a rune that boosts Ahri's innate nature as a free mobile champion. I feel like Ahri is like air, like that. If you make her more mobile, you are only empowering her strength as a mage that tries to catch everyone and dodging the abilities with her ult better. Phase also scales well into late game, that's why it is mm, quite good because it scales. You can see 40% more movement speed and it's only 10 seconds cooldown, which means you can proc it many times, maybe two, well, two, and you will run a lot. And I think movement speed is a very underestimated stat in League because actually what movement speed allows you is to freely engage and disengage, making it easier to get kills in teamfights or to survive. It can also be used to be baiting the enemy important abilities. And why it is that good? I mean, the difference between this rune and another rune for is that the other rune will give you some damage in a team fight, which mm, is not that much anyway. Like it's not that dealing damage is important, but I mean just because of one rune that deals damage, I don't think it will make as much of an impact as the Phasrus um, rune. Because with movement speed you can just have more creative ways, even without having ult, to actually making plays with Ahri. You don't even need the ult at this point if you have that rune. Well, then we go for the second one. The second one is the mana flow band. I mean, it's quite obvious that this second one is the best one actually because, well, since you are going for the mage style type of Ahri, you're gonna be dealing sustained damage, spamming your abilities with low CDs, which means you will need a lot of mana. So yeah, this one is really good. But yeah, Nuifengor maybe can work as well. Well, you preferably want mana flow band, and if you need some magic resistance, then get the magic resistance after in an item. Actually, that's how I see it right now. Then we have the third best option is Transcendence. Like there is the Celerity rune, but I mean the Transcendence is just a better rune, I think, because it lowers the because of especially the in at the level 11, it reduces the remaining cooldown from the basic abilities, so you can spam a lot of abilities each time. Mm, it can be pretty clutch. Celerity can be fine, but probably I will go Transcendence, it's better. You don't need to go full movement speed because that wouldn't be optimal. You want to actually, for a healthier run page, you want to combine a little bit of stats that can be also necessary for Ahri. Like Ahri needs some damage, some speed, some mana, some CDs. You want to combine them wisely. and that's what we do here. Then the fourth one, we can get, well, Scorch is not that good for 12.10 because it doesn't scale, and it's only will be used for learning phase, which you can't get much from it in that patch. You you can't really expect to be having solo kills in lane. Like you can of course, but you can't expect, especially in high elo, to get solo kills. So you want to actually, I mean, the landing phase is used for wave management mostly, to be played around jungler and so on. Only if the enemy plays really badly, then you can get the solo kills. Even with these rune setups actually as well. Mm. And anyways, if you fight too hard for your lane and trade too hard, what usually happens is that the enemy team will counterattack you with their super roaming, their jungler roaming to kill you when you're low HP in lane. So it's not very intelligent to trade in mid lane anyways. So yeah, you want to avoid lane lane based runes. Water walking, I tried that, but it only works in the river. It would have been good if it worked in the jungle, in all the jungle. So you get a lot of move speed to be roaming, but it only works in the river. So it's very narrow. It's a very narrow zone. So unless they buff this rune, it's not that good at this. Like the stats it gives are good, but does the zone is that narrow that you can not really get enough from it. And Gathering Storm is I right now is a better one because it scales. It's reliable damage that scales. It can this AP can be used in any zone, not like Water Walking only being useful in the river, in the Baron or Drake in this case. And then the secondary runes, I think, well, this one, magical footwear, why I, why I think it's good, apart from mm, needing 300 gold less than, like, it's good. The 10 move speed are good because they also combine when you proc the phase rules, since it's a percentage. The phase rules kinda gets stacks harder if you have more move speed because like it's a percentage. Like I don't know how to explain you, but it's kinda hits becomes better. It empowers the phase rules. And then we have the biscuit delivery just for the for surviving the weak laning phase that you can experience with this rune page. It also gives more mana for the team fights in late game, so you are more sustained. So you have mana flow band and biscuit delivery, which means you have a lot of mana. Mm, for the late game team fights, and it also helps you to survive the laning phase, which I actually recommend you to be starting Doran Ring with this rune page. So Doran Ring, I mean, the difference between starting Corrupting Pot and Doran Ring is that Corrupting Pot is used for the yearly trades, is aggressive, to be aggressive in the laning phase, and you actually don't want to be aggressive, you want to be smart in the laning phase, you want to manage your wave without trading too much, so you can farm and scale. You want to farm very well, that's true, and you want to scale, so you can get Doran Ring and you can get the Biscuit Delivery, which will act as a corrupting pot since you have 3 biscuit deliveries, 3 biscuits I mean, versus like three pots from corrupting. It will be pretty much the same use. Especially, it will help you especially against poking champions. But it grants you a better, like a more reliable early, because the round ring actually gives you HP, damage, and better farming experience, which scales. The rank ring in itself scales better than the corrupting pot. Corrupting pot is only used for the laning phase to be like to be having prio, but you can have prio if you combine the run ring, 2 red pots and the biscuit delivery as well. If you can play it good. Attack speed, because like attack speed feels very nice with Ahri in order to be actually pushing or just CSing. It allows you to CS better with it. It can be crucial for the laning phase. It makes the laning phase easier as well. Well, adaptive force, and then you have the. It depends on the enemy team combo, obviously. So if they have mixed damage, you go health. Then if they have mostly armor, you don't necessarily need armor if you. I mean, you don't. Well, you don't necessarily need magic resist if you go against Lux. If you can just dodge her abilities pretty well, and their team comp is pretty much armor. I mean, attack damage based. So well, that's it for this um, first. How to say it first? Uh, Whatever. I forgot how to say it. See you. I mean, if you like this video, I can make the second part from it. I'm in the party. So, see you guys for another video. We'll see.